All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Oh, hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the AEW Recap. I am your host, Coach, and this was a interesting Dynamite tonight. And, you know, we're just going to jump right into it. So we kick off the show with Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he was going to interview Tommaso Ciampa, as usual. Ciampa getting a great reaction from the crowd. And then as he was about to ask a question, Ciampa interrupted, and Ciampa continued to say how he was better than Chris Jericho. And he even told Tony Schiavone to say that as well. Schiavone refused. Ciampa then threatened to break his back as he got Schiavone into the corner. Jericho's music hits, and of course everyone's singing Jericho's entrance song, which is always great. And then I'm going to be honest, after that, this segment went downhill. Jericho made a joke about wanting to fight someone who has hair, which got a bald chant going. Then he even called him Tommy. That made Ciampa even more meh. You know, this one divided a lot of people, and I'm kind of on the group of that. Those two promos were not great. And I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that, but I'm just being my honest opinion. I did not think that was good at all. The brawling at the end, totally fine with that. But the promo between Jericho and Ciampa, I was very disappointed in. I think it just didn't come off as anything good. And I can't describe it. It just was not great. And for an opening segment, that's not how you want to start out the show. And it was just, I was disappointed. I think it was cheap pops that Jericho was doing there to get Ciampa to try and egg him in. Again, it started out good. Ciampa with just Schiavone was really good. I thought that was fantastic. Jericho didn't make it better, though. And it sucks to say that because he is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He kind of killed what was supposed to be accomplished here. Again, I'm going to catch some flack for that. I don't really care because that's how I see it. I did not like that opening segment one bit. We go to our first match of the evening, and it is Jon Moxley versus Shane Taylor in an AEW Continental Championship. And Taylor has been on TV a lot more recently, which is a great thing. And outside of Ring of Honor, this was probably his biggest opportunity. I thought these guys did a really good job of just showing off their brawling skills because that's kind of what both men thrive in. And what I loved about Taylor was that he had a little bit more power behind his strikes, but Moxley doing the same as well. But you could definitely tell Moxley was helping Taylor, was selling good for Taylor to show how strong Taylor was. It ended up getting towards the end there, Moxley did get the win. However, after the win, Taylor attacked him, and then the rest of the stable of his stable kept the Death Riders from saving Moxley. So then this becomes pretty interesting that you're getting these two stables into some interesting possibilities. The main thing, a rematch between Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty for the Pure Championship. That's kind of the main one. But I do think that it's a nice change of pace. It's not just the same stables going back and forth with each other. I like that this is going to take a little bit of a different route. So STP will be taking on Death Riders. I like that. And I think this is going to be a fun rivalry. Later on in the show, Daniel Garcia did challenge STP to a 5-on-5 street fight for this week's Collision. So I'm excited for that one. But yeah, this was a very good opening match, especially bouncing back after that bad opening segment. So good job by both Moxley and Taylor. We go to our next match, which is a Mark Briscoe versus Pac match. And again, this one is where I was kind of like, this is where those stables kind of intertwine yet again. The Death Riders and the conglomeration. We've kind of seen that a lot recently, and it's kind of getting overdone. But this was an interesting match because these two have different styles. Both guys quick on their feet and can hit some stiff strikes, but they go about it completely different. Pac is one of those guys who just looks good about every time he gets in the ring, and he and Briscoe did a really good job. You got Briscoe, who is just down and gritty. You got Pac, who's a little bit more high flying. Excuse me. So just a really good combination of both men there, but of different styles. Briscoe did get the win. But at the end of that, he called out MJF and informed him that Tony Khan booked a 6-on-6 cage match, and if Briscoe's team wins, he gets a shot at the world title. So again, match was pretty solid. I liked the different styles there, but the ending is what everyone is more curious about, is who will be in that cage match with MJF? And we find that out later on in the evening. We get to our next match, which is Orange Cassidy taking on Andrade El Idolo. I'm going to be honest, this match started out very quick because we had Andrade taking his wrestling pants off, and then Orange Cassidy took his jeans off, and then they started the fight. Going to be honest, I thought that was a little weird to do that. However, they made up for it with the actual in-ring ability. There was a quick pace to it. There was some versatility. They did a really good job of that. So besides the antics at the beginning of the match that, again, I wasn't a fan of, I thought they did a really great job. And especially with Orange Cassidy, he thrives against guys who are more powerful than him because it allows him to do some risky moves. And Andrade kind of used his strength to bait Cassidy into those kind of moves. A lot of mat wrestling, high-flying action, and this was a match that you would usually say for a pay-per-view, but you got it here on Dynamite, which I thought was a very nice touch, and Andrade picked up victory, and surprisingly, it was a clean victory. So definitely interesting there for that booking decision. We get to our next match, which is a Owen Hart women's tournament quarterfinal between Sky Blue and Maya World. So Maya was actually a last-minute replacement for Sari due to her not being able to clear to compete. First half of this match, a little clunky, and the crowd wasn't given much energy to work with, but after the commercial break, the fans were starting to get a little bit more involved. And you could tell Blue and World were trying to make this match memorable, and you could just see it in how both of them were interacting with each other. And the second half of the match so much better than that first half. Maya was able to get the win to advance in the tournament, which was definitely an upset victory. Did not see that coming. Crowd was behind her, and the pop after she won was a very, very good one. It was nice. It was a good change of pace of booking there for Tony Khan. Usually he rarely does the upset stuff like this on a Dynamite. He usually saves that for a pay-per-view, so that was a really nice touch there. One thing that I thought was fantastic was the counter that World used to hit a double stomp. It almost didn't work, but they did a great job of rolling to the side and doing it instead of just staying right where they were. So good job by both ladies to recognize that and go forward. We go to our main event of the evening, and it is, once again, the Owen Hart men's tournament semifinal between Swerve Strickland and Brody King. This would be to face the winner of this faces Will Ospreay in the finals of the men's tournament at Forbidden Door. As you would expect with these two, very physical match. King busted open near the end and taking some big bumps. They blended their styles of mayhem well to create a match like this. That had the crowd was into it from the beginning, chanting and cheering from start to finish. This was a perfect main event to go off of. In the end, Swerve Strickland did get the win to set up another marquee matchup with Will Ospreay in the Owen Hart finals. You know, King may have lost, but he is still incredibly over with the fan base. I just want to say this. If Tony Khan is smart, he will put one of the singles titles on him before the end of the year to capitalize on this popularity and give him a big push. Let's see if Tony Khan can do what Triple H and WWE always fail to do, capitalize on momentum of a wrestler who has gotten over organically. So that is definitely something to look at going forward. So to recap this, Dynamite, they did a really good job of using their time on the show to get as much out of it as possible. Yes, it was only 5 matches, and it wasn't as packed as other episodes, but it made it feel that each match was important enough that they had to focus on these, and the time given for each match was, I think, the perfect amount. I think King and Strickland stole the show for the main event, but you got to give credit to Cassidy and Andrade for the great work they did. Forbidden Door is shaping up to be a pretty strong card. Who else? I mean, Strickland versus Ospreay in the finals. That's what everybody predicted. That's what everybody wanted. Well, we're going to get it at Forbidden Door. Another thing I want to talk about, AEW has also gotten better about tying Dynamite to the events of Collision. that was something in the early parts of AEW, was when Dynamite and Collision were kind of their own brands, but you still had everybody on the same show, and you would almost forget about what happened on each episode. So the fact that they're tying that back in together, I think is great, and it shows strong booking, in my opinion, for Tony Khan and the rest of the AEW creative. They're cooking something pretty good right here. They're coming off a strong Double or Nothing. Dynamite has been pretty solid leading up to Forbidden Door. Again, the card is looking stacked right now. I am excited to see what happens on Collision with the street fight and the cage match that's coming up. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, MJF did form an alliance with who else but the Don Callis family. Kevin Knight actually joined in with the Don Callis family for this match on the condition of if the team wins, if Kevin Knight's team wins, he gets a shot at the World Championship. So it's an interesting development of, will it be Briscoe or Knight to be the next challenger for MJF? And we will just have to wait and see for that when Collision happens. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. This has been a great time talking about this. Again, AEW is doing a fantastic job of really building off momentum right now. They still have some things they got to work out because, again, that opening segment was not a big fan of, but the wrestling, the in-ring work made up for that to make this a really, really strong show. So thank you again to everybody that tuned in to watch. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content here at the We Book It podcast. Special shout out to Virgil for being my producer tonight. And once again, my name is Coach. Thank you again for tuning in to the AEW recap. I will see you next week on the next edition of Dynamite.